Florida State fans got some good news on Wednesday as Mike Norvell said it would take a pretty big setback at this point for Treshaun Ward to miss the Miami game this weekend. How big of an impact is this for the Noles? We'll discuss in full next. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the channel. I'm TJ Pittenger. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up if you're excited for the FSU Miami game this weekend. Make sure you're subscribed. We're going to keep bringing you content all the way up until game time and then post-game on Sunday as well. Make sure that you comment below with your score prediction for the game. Treshaun Ward started his career as a walk-on, a non-scholarship athlete at Florida State. He's a kid who's always had a good head on his shoulders. He had other scholarship opportunities, but turned those down to be able to come and play at Florida State because he believed in himself and knew that he could play at that level. He played in the Sun Bowl and a little bit toward the end of the 2019 season as a walk-on, but never stopped working. He got his opportunity with Mike Norvell during Norvell's first spring, which was 2020, to prove himself, and he earned a scholarship. He spoke about it in 2020, and he talked about telling his mom the moment Norvell told him and what his immediate thoughts were. But what stood out to me the most was that basically he said that though this was a weight off his shoulders, it wasn't going to change anything. He was still going to work like that workhorse dog mentality that he had had in the past and never let up. And he's proved that now. I spoke with Treshaun on the Rising Spear podcast. He's a fun kid who Lawrence Toafili and Trey Benson told me is the best singer on the team. He's a kid his teammates and his coaches love, and they're thrilled to have him back this weekend. Treshaun's ability to hit the hole and make guys miss is remarkable. His vision for seeing running lanes is one of his greatest strengths. And look at the highlights here behind me. He is constantly making defenders look foolish with his ability to juke and make guys miss tackles. Rarely do they even get a hand on him. He means a ton to this team. In all fairness, Benson and Toafili have done a really good job for the Noles during his absence, but Treshaun has been your leader all year. And what he's able to do with his quick change of pace is really something this offense thrives off of. He's made countless plays this year. His monster game against Louisville was really what the team needed with a backup quarterback in the game, and it took a ton of pressure off of Tate Rodemaker because he was just unstoppable that night. Last year, he had 2 big catches against Miami and a total of 77 all-purpose yards in the game. This year, he'll look to have another big game against the Canes as he comes back off of an injury. He scored a touchdown in the UF game last year, and I like him to find the end zone against Miami, scoring against his second rival. Florida State didn't just get back RB1 this week for their first major rivalry game of the season. They didn't just add the ACC leader in yards per carry. And they didn't just get back the FSU team leader in rushing yardage, despite Ward missing 2.5 games. Florida State is exercising some major injury demons right now because they're the most healthy they've been since the LSU game earlier in the year. In fact, they might be more healthy than when they played LSU when you look at the additions of Ja'Kai Douglas and Amari Gaynor. Florida State's offensive line has had some bumps and bruises, but the starting rotation of Scott, Gibbons, Smith, Emmanuel, and Washington have been pretty solid and should continue to be. The Noles also got several young guys on the O-line, some reps against Georgia Tech and some other teams this year that should be invaluable down the stretch if the Noles do need guys to step in an all-important unit. The other line is back and ready to go as well, with Lovett looking great against Georgia Tech and Versus Knee looking pretty healthy. He was an absolute video game last week. We mentioned Gaynor. Him being back and making plays as a depth piece for linebackers is also a welcome sight. Brendan Sonone of Noles 247 shared this clip and pointed out that Gaynor's speed and athleticism, as well as his hustle, make him an addition that is great to have back after he missed several weeks of the season with an injury. The best running back room in the conference also added C.J. Campbell, who scored a touchdown against Georgia Tech this past weekend. Awesome moment for them for sure. The rotation of Ward, Benson, Toafili, Hill, and Campbell is ridiculous. Add in that the fact that Jordan Travis can use his legs when needed, and you've got a real threat to do some ridiculous things in the running game. How does this all impact this weekend's game? Well, it removes the excuse of an injury derailing you against one of your biggest rivals. Against Wake, not having Lovett was an issue. They were able to run the ball and really dominate with that annoying slow mesh. Would Lovett have made a difference in the outcome, win or loss? I'm not sure. But would his presence have made that defense better? Would we have been a better defense with our best defensive lineman clogging up the middle? Absolutely. Treshaun Ward coming back against Miami this weekend is a ton of fun. Florida State running backs have dominated Miami for as long as I can remember. It happened in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015, 2016. Dalvin Cook was absolutely remarkable against Miami for years. And I think we're in store for another big game this weekend. Miami's defensive line is pretty good. We spoke with Manny Navarro on the podcast last night about the Canes' defensive line, and they have been really, really good. The secondary's been pretty awful, and so teams have opted to pass the ball a ton against Miami. But I do think that Florida State has one of the better rushing attacks that Miami will see all season, maybe second only to Clemson's, but Clemson's is kind of a one-man show with Will Shipley. I think that the diversity that Florida State can throw at Miami this weekend with the different running backs they have, guys catching balls out of the backfield, and really just kind of the ability of the Florida State running backs should be huge for the Noles. I like the Noles to rush for over 150 yards. I like Ward to be a big part of that. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jordan Travis's legs a ton this weekend as well. Exciting news getting Ward back. Exercising some injury demons and being fully healthy will lead the Noles to a victory on Saturday night. Again, if you enjoyed the content, if you liked the video, do me a favor, hit the like button down below. Comment a score prediction for the game. I'd love to get some of those in from you guys. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We will talk to you guys again soon. Go Noles.